Good morning, class. Thank you for joining me. So I'm gonna quickly just give a summary of the last session that we had, and then we'll move quickly to the new session. So as a reminder, we're talking about the benefits of trust and leadership, creating trust, building trust through character, and building trust through skills. We define trust. We talked about the benefits of trust. We talked about how you create trust. And then we talked about, when you talk about creating trust, we told you the story about Apple and Coca-Cola. I went over leadership styles to talk about the different types of leadership, which you should know, because at any time you'll have to use these different types of leadership. We talked about becoming a trusted leader and how you treat others during difficult times with dignity and transparency. And then we talked about building bridges that unify. So we talked about leadership styles. Now we're going to move forward and talk about how you build trust through character. So there's what we call the 12 elements of trust. And the 12 elements must be present to create a culture of achievement and belonging. So, many of these elements need to be present in order for you to be inclusive and for you to be successful. Out of those 12 elements, five of those elements are related to character, and character is the kind of person you are. And seven of those elements of trust are based on skill, your ability to lead effectively. So, character, what kind of person are you? That's the character of the person. Skill is your ability to lead. These 12 elements of trust, it allows you as a leader to build, enhance, and sometimes when you lose some trust or credibility, it allows you to restore trust because it's very important as a leader to spend time building and creating your trust. You need to spend time to enhance and cultivate and grow that trust, but it could go away in a second. There's things that could happen in any given day with your team that you will lose that trust. And how do you, as a leader, restore it? So restoring it is more difficult than building it. So how do you get that trust back? When you get all these elements together, if you can really express and demonstrate these 12 elements of trust, your team is always going to deliver and you're going to be working at a peak performance. With anything, there's always good and there's always bad things about it. So there's pros and cons of trust. On the pro side, it gives you great management skills. If you exhibit the 12 elements of trust, you are a gracious person. You're level-headed, you're not too high and you're not too low. You're kind to everybody and you really, really are approachable. You have that personality that people could come to, what they call like the life of the party. You're social, you can talk to people, people can come to you. Those are the types of elements of trust that are good. When you don't have it, what are the cons? You have emotional distance. You could be cold. You could be indifferent. You could lack skills. And that will make your leadership style suffer. So, how do you find the balance of not having those cons that will make you an ineffective leader and not be too high where people don't take you serious. So finding that middle ground using the elements of trust is what we're going to talk about in this session, and we'll get into the details of all 12 elements, 5 on the character, 7 on the skill side. When we continue to talk about the 12 elements of trust, again, these are the 5 elements of character, 7 elements of skill. So let's go to the first one of character, which is motive. Motive, by definition, is your why. Why do we do what we do? There's a reason. What's the reason? Whenever a leader makes a decision, many times you're thinking, why did they do that? Why did he or she make that decision? You know, why why would they make a decision that maybe you don't agree upon? What was their motive? You could apply motive to anything, even outside of work. You know, why did your kids do that? What was my son's motive to be not act right in school? What was the motive of speeding and getting a speeding ticket? Why? That is what the motive is. Why is it we do what we do? It challenges your moral center, which your moral center is the area inside of yourself that is between the pros and the cons, keeping your level, your head level, your morals level, your moral center. Transparency, you know, being transparent benefits everybody. If you tell somebody why you did it, if you tell somebody what your motive is, then maybe you'll understand, listen, this is why I did this. We talked before about when we talked about leadership, we talked about the cohesive leader, the leader that makes that decision. I talked about the hurricane. Hurricane's coming. I need to do this. This is what we're going to do, and I don't want to be questioned about it. Now, if on the other hand I say a hurricane's coming, this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it this way. This is why we're not going to have meetings to discuss it. This is why I'm making the decision myself. I'm not asking for feedback. I'm not asking for people's opinion. This is why I'm making this decision. And for this particular subject, I'm using the coercive leadership. I am explaining my motive. And if you are transparent on explaining your motive, it will benefit everybody. So being transparent benefits everybody. Whenever you're not transparent, whenever you say, because of the hurricane, we are going to do this. Alex, why are we doing this? Because I say so. Because don't question me. I'm the boss. Why would you question me? That type of motive, that type of character will definitely backfire. And more importantly, it destroys trust. So when you, as a leader, all of us have motives of why we do. Why do we go to work? Because we have to make a living to feed our family. Why did you go to school to get your degree? Because you want to excel and you want to become a leader. Why are you taking this class? You want to take this class because you want to learn about leadership. You want to become a leader if you're not a leader already. Everybody has motives. It is our responsibility to not have hidden agendas, be transparent. So having a hidden agenda is the opposite of being transparent, and it destroys trust. So a question, what is your motive as a leader? Why do you want to be a leader? What do you want to do as a leader? You want to raise the bar. That means you want to create excellence. You want your team to work at the highest level. You want your team to want to come to work every day and do what's best for their organization. You really want genuine improvement. You want people that want to work for you. You want people that are going to go to bat for you. You want people that have your back. They're going to cover your back, that really trust you and want to work with you. And you want to make sure that everyone is aligned with your vision and culture. Does everybody have the same goals for themselves, for you, for the organization? So having the right, having morals, having motive creates these three points. I'm going to go back as we go through because I skipped this slide and I already know that we talked about motives. But the five elements of character are motive, which we talked about, values, ethics, credibility, and respect. We talked about there's five elements of character, seven elements of skill. These are the five elements of character. When you have these five or demonstrate these five elements of character and you do it reliably, you do it consistently, and you do it with a positive attitude, you're going to create trust. I think that this line is so important. I'm going to bold it and I'm going to make it bigger. Titles alone do not inspire others. What does that mean? That means that because I am the COO and I have the title, if I don't demonstrate these five elements of character, people don't care what my title is. They're not going to be inspired. They're not going to want to work for me. They may leave. They may underperform. They don't trust me. And just because I have the badge that says my title, it doesn't mean any. It doesn't mean anything if I don't demonstrate these things. No different in sports. Um, just because you're the manager, just because you're the head coach, that doesn't mean that you inspire people. I don't know if some of you follow sports. The Miami Dolphins right now are not playing well. A lot of people on television, a lot of people on the radio are saying they got to fire the coach. They got to fire the general manager. They say the coach has no discipline for the team. The team doesn't respect them. The team doesn't trust them. So what's happening? They're playing bad. What happens when they're playing bad? They're losing. They've won 0 games. No different in life. If you're a mother, you're a father, just because you have the title of a parent, if you don't demonstrate elements of positive characters, motive, values, ethics, credibility, and respect, just because you're the father, just because you're the mother, doesn't mean that your kids are going to respect you and they're going to do things that you would like to be done. And I'm sure we all know families that they have issues with parents having issues with the kids. And I think, again, titles alone do not inspire others. You got to have these elements of character and these elements of skill, not only in the workplace, but in life in order to be successful. So we talked about motive. Now we'll shift over to values. So values are focused and you got to make them focused and easy to remember. So, when you talk about mission and vision statement, if you make your values too complicated that people don't understand what it is, then it's hard for them to follow them. I have here, and hopefully you can see it. Let me see if I can show it. If not, I'll send. But if here, these are our values in my company. Very simple, 6 values. You don't make them complicated. It should be maybe 5 or fewer. We happen to have 6, but we demonstrate it in a simple way for people to understand. So we have quality and safety, empathy, teamwork, integrity, inclusion, and innovation. And I keep this on my desk because why? This is what I lead with. These are the values that I live by, I lead by, and hopefully our team does also. So when you talk about values, focused and easy to remember. Try to keep them, don't make them 10, 12, because people are not going to remember your values. Values are the guide for what you're going to do in your life and in your business. It gives you the guide to how to behave and how to practice in your job. There's a quote from Sherry Nassim that says, "Get your values off the wall and walk them through the hall." What does that mean? That means I could have this on my desk. If you walk through my hospital, you'll see these values on the wall. People have them posted on the wall. People have them in their departments. Nice, looks beautiful on the wall. Get them off the wall and demonstrate them. Walk them through the hall. Make them part of your everyday life at work. Make them part of everyday life in your personal life. Take them off the wall and demonstrate them. Walk them through the hall means demonstrate them, show your characters, show your values, and it will come back with positive behavior and positive outcomes. Integrate your values into policy, procedures, and practices. Um, Take your quality value and make them into a policy, make them into your procedure, make them into your practices. Like that, you can hardwire them. People will have a guide to go to, and it will just strengthen what your core values are. Train your team, get your team members trained, you know, have classes, have leadership classes to teach them values. And like that, they can be the voice of the organization for the rest of the entire organization in order for you to be successful. Leadership decisions. Make a lot your decisions as a leader should be value based. So taking your core values of your organization, putting them into your skill set and using them when you're making decisions is part of the experience and knowledge that you have to have in order to be successful. So your leadership, all of your leadership decisions should not be hidden, should not be about yourself, should be value based. And if I make my decisions based all around the values that I show here, then people are going to trust me. People will respect me, not because of my title, but because of the values that I demonstrate. When you talk about values, the millennials right now are dominating the workforce because of retirement. So in the medical field and in many other fields, there are many caregivers that are retirement age, senior level age, maybe have 5 years or less before they retire. Then you have the millennials that have less than 3 years, maybe less than 5 years in the workforce. Those are the dominating groups of employees now. The employees that are 5 to 15 years are the smallest bucket. The millennials are dominating the workforce. They have a different work ethic. They have a different vision of what work should look like. Things are different. What I used to do before, I can't ask people to do anymore. People are looking for work-life balance. They don't want to work as hard as we used to or have to do before. And sometimes they're like, I'm not just going there, I'm going to get a check and I'm going to leave. I'm there just for a check. I'm there because I have to work. How do we as leaders, through values and through the 5 elements of character, really work with these folks to get them to understand how important values are, how important morals are, how important the five elements of character are. It's very difficult. It's a completely different mindset. So and this is a Harvard Business Review, and I should have put that as where the reference is. 48% of corporations, people believe that corporations behave ethically. 47% believe leaders are committed to helping improve culture. So it's about 50-50. Half of the employees or half of the team believe that we behave ethically, and half also believe that we're committed to helping improve culture. That means that 50% don't believe that. How do we raise that number? How do you get that number to the 70, 80, 90%? Is demonstrating these characters, these elements, these five elements of character. Many people believe that businesses have no ambition besides making money. They don't care about quality. They don't care about us. We don't care about patients. All we care about is making money. That's all they care about. So when you have that type of culture, you will have caregivers that don't trust you, don't believe in your character, will not follow you as a leader, and you will have a difficult time being successful. So it's very important that, again, motives and values are two of the five that you demonstrate. There is an acronym called VUCA. It defines the challenging times that we all live in this moment: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. We all you have to do is look at the TV right now. There's a lot of chatter, and I don't get political, but there's a lot of chatter on, do you trust your government? Do you trust your governor? Do you trust your senators? Do you trust Congress? Do you trust, your manager? Do you trust your supervisor? There's a lot of that going on right now. And VUCA is the acronym that really challenges. There's a lot of volatility in this world. There's a lot of volatility in the workplace. It's not easy times for a lot of people. A lot of uncertainty. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years. It's very complex. It's not easy. Nobody said it was easy. And they're not being clear about it. Ambiguity, not being transparent. You don't know if your boss, does he like you? Does she like you? Are you doing a good job? Is your job safe? Am I getting a raise? How is my annual review going to do? I made a mistake. Are they mad? Are they not mad? They're not transparent, very ambiguous. This is called VUCA, and this can apply to anything in life, including your job. So, questions. Would people agree that your organization embodies the values that it claims to hold? So, whether you're working now or you've worked in a company in the future, would you agree, or did you agree, if you give it some thought, does your company embody the values that it claims to hold? Are we demonstrating these values, or is it just on a piece of paper or on a glass, pretty little demonstration stand? Are we demonstrating the values that we claim to hold? Would your folks, would your colleagues, would your caregivers, would your employees say that you represent your organization values? One thing is the organization demonstrating the values? Are you demonstrating the values? You could demonstrate the values, and your organization may not be demonstrating the values, but that doesn't mean that you can't demonstrate the values. What can you and your organization change to align behaviors with organizational values? So let's say that you are demonstrating the values, your organization is not. How do you get that together? Maybe your organization is demonstrating it, and maybe you're not. How do you get that together? Getting values together is what is your goal in order to provide optimal leadership, optimal outcomes, and have caregivers that are happy and wanting to come to work. So we talked about morals and we talked about values. The next element of character, which is a third out of the five, is ethics. So ethics, they're different from values. It's the opposite. Ethics addresses the morality of your conduct. You've heard, are you acting ethically? Is a physician acting ethically? What happens when a physician doesn't act ethically? They lose their license. What happens if a lawyer acts unethically? The bar will take their license away. No different than anything else. If you act unethically, there will be consequences to your actions. So ethics addresses the morality of your conduct. How are you behaving? You can behave unethically, but it's not illegal. You behavior that may be unethical, you're not breaking the law. I can do things that are unethically, but I'm not breaking the law. There are people that do things that are not going to go to jail for, but they're not ethical. Ayn Rand said, defined ethics as the code of values to guide a man's choices or woman's and actions that determine the purpose and the course of their life. Value is which one acts to gain or keep. So again, the more you act with integrity, the more people will trust you. So unethical is the opposite of integrity. So having integrity, meaning having morals, acting morally, is part of the five elements of character. So, question: how would people know you well? How would people that know you well view your ethics? Do people that know you think you're ethical? Not that you're a criminal, not that you're breaking the law, but do they believe that you're ethical? Do you demonstrate integrity? Do people trust you, or people believe that you're not ethical? When people find you principled, do you have morals? Do you have values? Do people think that you have morals? Do people think that you have values? Do people think that you act ethically? That is three out of the five elements of character: morals, values, and ethics. So the next element of character, number 4 or 5, is credibility. So credibility is the quality of being believable. I'm sure that you've heard people say, is he credible? Is that person credible? Is what they're saying credible? That means, are they truthful? Are they lying? You know what? This person lies so many times. I don't believe anything that comes out of their mouth. This person has lied to me so many times. I don't believe them anymore. I am sure that people in your life that lie or have lied to you, or what they say is just, you just don't believe anything they say. That's credibility. That's somebody that has no credibility. It's the definition is quality of being believable. Being credible is being believable, meaning that you don't say any half truths. I don't say some truth and some lies. I don't say more lies and more truths. It's being credible, is when you stand there and you speak to your team, they believe you. That's being credible. Two ways to gain credibility is position or occupation. Attaining a certain title or status within a field or organization. You know, you are, if if I am the COO of my hospital, when I walk into a room, people think, wow, this guy has the big title. He must be credible. Unfortunately, some people get credibility by titles and status. Um, when you walk into a hospital and you walk into your doctor, the doctor walks in, you're like, oh, he's the doctor. He has the expertise and he's the authoritative figure because he has MD after his badge. A lot of people believe that. So, when you talk about um, doctors and lawyers, you're talking about titles of credibility, representing authority and expertise. But again, the credibility is only attached to the title and not the person. So, yeah, I got credibility because I'm the COO, but that doesn't mean that I'm credible if I'm not believable and if I'm not honest. So just because you have the title, that gives you some credibility. If you're the coach of the team, wow, he's the head coach. What he says, we got to listen to. He knows his stuff. If not, he wouldn't be the coach. He must know his stuff. If not, he wouldn't be the COO. She must know her things because if not, she wouldn't be a doctor. She must know her stuff because she's a lawyer. Yeah, they received that credibility because of their title, but not because of the person. And like I mentioned before, doctors that are not credible get malpractice lawsuits. Lawyers that don't demonstrate credibility get disbarred. So you earn credibility through your actions and being honest in every situation. You don't gain credibility just because of a title alone. So, questions. Do you rely too much on blind trust? Are you the type of person that just trusts everything that someone says? You don't question it just because they have the title, you say it must be right. Do you trust everything that everyone around you says? Do you have blind trust? If the answer is yes, what are the consequences? The consequences are you're probably going to get hurt at one point or another. You're going to be upset. You're going to start losing trust. It's very important that you just don't use blind trust in everything that you do. It's okay to question folks. It's okay to challenge their credibility. Because if not, there are consequences to that. What do you think about your credibility? You have to look in the mirror and say, am I credible? Am I always honest? Am I believable? Do I sometimes say lies? Do I sometimes say the truth? What is my credibility? Because you know what? People will see through it. And like I said, it takes time to build all these elements of the character and trust. It takes one bad move for you to lose it all. So, what do people think about your credibility? Do individuals in your organization believe what you say and have confidence that they can depend on it? Do you say things and don't deliver? Do you say things and don't follow through? What is your credibility? It's very important that when you say something, you follow up and you do it. And if you can't do it, be honest and say, why can't you do it? Moving on to the fifth element of character. So, like I said, there's five. The fifth one is respect. Respect is a deep admiration for someone based on their abilities, qualities, and their achievements. Do you respect your boss? Do you respect your husband or wife? Do you respect your partner? Do your kids respect you? Do your friends respect you? If they do, it's because you've demonstrated those other four elements of character. They know that you have qualities that they respect. You've succeeded in achieving many things in your life. If you become a doctor, wow, I respect you. You became a doctor. You became a lawyer. Wow, I respect you. You became a lawyer. Wow, I respect you. You became the COO. But if you don't demonstrate ethics, if you don't demonstrate values, if you don't demonstrate motives, if you don't demonstrate credibilities, all that goes away quickly. Gotta treat people with respect, show them what their value are, their ability, and allow them to shine. You don't need to have the spotlight all the time. It's okay for allowing your team to shine and let them get the stage. Let them demonstrate what they can do and and where their uh, values are to the organization. Don't micromanage them. Don't force them to check in every decision. Hey, listen, before you make a decision, check in with me so I can see if it's okay. Don't do that. Let them make decisions. Let them make mistakes. Let them learn from mistakes. When you develop that self motivation and self determination, your organization is going to be more productive. So don't micromanage folks. Give them the time to shine. Show them respect, and then they will respect you in return. So now we're the questions about respect. Do you trust your employees to do your job, or do you continually second guess them? That's a very, very strong question. Do you trust your employees to do their jobs, or do you continually second guess them? I can tell you that, you know, in my field and in my job, there are times that I felt that I've been micromanaging. There are times that I've second guessed my employees, and there are times that I haven't. And I think that you as a leader need to find your way on how do you not micromanage them, begin to trust what they're doing. And by the way, just like you, and it takes time for you as a leader to gain the trust of your employees, it takes time for your employees to gain your trust. So it's bi-directional. It takes time for you to really, really think about how you start gaining their trust and how you start trusting them to do your job, to do their job, and not second guess them. Do you allow team members to achieve in a way that suits them best, or do you too often micromanage them? I think that one of the things as a leader that you can do is put them in positions to succeed. Give them, don't put them in a position that that they're going to have trouble succeeding, and don't put them in positions that's going to make you have to micromanage them. Find the strengths and the weaknesses of your team, put them in positions that they can succeed, where you don't have to micromanage them, and in return, you're going to start trusting them and they're going to respect you. Do you give individuals the respect they require to remain motivated and engaged in their positions? Do you respect them? Have they earned it? Give them time to make mistakes. Give them time to gain your trust, and give them the respect that they deserve. Do you set up others for success? Again, are you putting team members? Are you putting your colleagues? Are you putting your employees? Are you putting your caregivers? Do you set them up for success? You know, you could do the same thing for, when you talk about your kids. Are you putting them in sports? Are you putting them in piano? Are you putting them in dance? Are you putting them in things that they like? Are you giving them a chance to make mistakes? Are you putting them, if you see that they have the ability to do something well, are you putting them in positions for them to be successful? How do we as parents, how do we as friends, how do we as leaders set up others for success? In what ways can you show greater respect to those around you? How can we do a better job in showing respect to those around you? Are there times that you feel that people have disrespected you? Yes. Does that make it okay for you to disrespect others? Absolutely not. How can you, as a leader, get that skill set in order to understand who you're working with, what their skill level is, and show that respect to those that are around you? If you if you show if you work on these five characters, elements of trust in character, that shows you again the kind of person that you are. Motives, values, ethics, credibility, and respect. Five elements of character that will develop you not only as a person, but as a leader. So, in the next session, we're going to talk about the seven elements of skill. Um, and we'll talk about in detail what those seven elements of skill are. And then you'll see how those seven elements of skill, along with the five elements of character, go together in order to develop you as a leader and in order for you to gain the trust. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is for your team, for your friends, for your kids to trust you. And that will lead you to being a successful leader, successful parent, and a successful friend. So when you talk about the platinum rule, you know, there's a Scientologist, sociologist named Milton Bennett that created the platinum rule, because everybody's heard about the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. Don't do something to somebody that you don't want them to do to you. When he read that and he gave it some thought, he said, this rule has limitations. So he created the platinum rule, which is do unto others as they would want done to them. Do unto others as they would want done to them. Meaning, don't do unto others what you want them to do to you. Do to others what you think you would want that things done to them. If they want respect, treat them with respect. If they've demonstrated, if they want credibility, give them credibility. If they demonstrate ethics, trust them. And so do unto others as they would want done to them, as opposed to do unto others as you want them to do to you. Think about that as a platinum rule. Tailor leadership to each individual when possible. You cannot lead and everybody's different. You need to talk to people different, or you got to talk to people in a different way depending on who it is. You have to have self-awareness to know who you're speaking to. And I'll give you some examples of that. So tailor your leadership to each individual when possible. I've been in this company for 25 years, going on 26 years. There are caregivers and employees of mine that I've worked for 10, 15, 20 years. If something went wrong or they did something wrong and I had a meeting with them, just because for the sole reason that I've been working with them for 10, 15, 20 years, I'm probably going to talk to them a certain way, as opposed to someone that just started, that maybe I don't know as well. Maybe they've only been in the company for a year. Maybe they're new and they made the same mistake. I have the person that's been here for 20 years make this mistake. I have the person that has been here 1 year make the same mistake. The reality is, I'm not going to talk to them the same. I'm going to talk to this person different than I'm going to talk to this person. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be easier to this person and harder on this person, but I'm going to talk to them differently. I'm going to talk to them differently. No different than your kids. If you have kids, and you have more than one kid, you know that their personalities are different. And you know that if you have two kids, they both make the same mistake. Maybe you could be a little harder on this person, on this kid, because they have a stronger personality. They can take it. Where this kid is a little more sensitive, and you have to be a little softer because you know what? They're emotional. They may cry. Maybe the other one will say, "Okay, I understand, mom or dad." Maybe the other one will cry. They're more sensitive. The reality is they both made the same mistake. You're going to talk to them differently. So when you talk about leadership, tailor your leadership to each individual when possible. You're not going to talk to them the same way all the time, even if it's the same thing that they did. Think about what their needs are, not just your own. Hey, listen, this is what I need. No, what is it that you need? I think that if you understand what their needs are, it's very important that you try to address their needs, not just your own. Treat them fairly and with respect. When I say that, when I say that I'm talking to this employee that has 10, 20 years and this employee that has 1 year, what I'm saying is I'm going to talk to them differently, but I'm going to be fair to both of them. I'm not going to say, okay, 20 years, you get away with it. You're my friend. Go. This person, I'm going to write you up. I'm going to give you a corrective action. No, you got to treat them fairly. If both of your kids do the same thing, if both of your kids get an F in school, you may talk to this person, your kid here, a little stronger than this child, because, like I said, this one can take it, this one's a little emotional, but they're both going to get their phones taken away. They're both going to get no video games. You're in timeout. You're going to get punished. You treat them fairly, but you talk to them differently. Treat fairly, talk differently. So it's very important that you're fair to everybody. You treat them the same way, but you can talk to them a little bit different. When you talk about character and you talk about when we talk about character and the 5 elements of character, it counts when building trust. And at the end of the day, we're talking about building trust. So it's very important that you demonstrate, again, the 5 elements of character in order to build trust. So, again, in summary and closing, the 5 elements of character, there's 12 elements of trust. 5 of the elements are character, 7 elements of skill. In the next class, we're going to go over the ability to lead effectively. And again, when we go over these 7 elements, you're going to realize that between the 7 elements of trust and the 7 elements of skill and the 5 elements of character, they all go hand in hand to create the 12 elements of trust. And at the end of the day, when you demonstrate these 12 elements of trust, you're going to continue to build trust. So next class, like I said, we'll talk about the 7 elements of skill, which will make sense as we go on in creating, the skill set you need as a leader in order to be an effective leader and be, more importantly, a trustworthy leader.